So this is a game by Bloodgood, Claude Bloodgood, who played chess in prison starting in the 1970s and correspondence chess. So we have the Grob. He played the Grob a lot. So you see bishop g2, hanging the g pawn, but then going for the diagonal attack, which is of course very common. And this was just a miniature, eight move miniature, because his opponent doesn't even guard the d pawn, and then they blunder with the natural queen takes b3, and then he does the kind of in between move, c takes b7, not taking the queen, but then he wants to take the rook and get a new queen. So ultimately he'd actually win a rook, and then he still wins the rook, right? He ends up trading queens, then he ends up, he's going to win a rook, so game over. They just resigned. And again, this one, actually, if they go for mate, either c2 or c4, they're hoping for their own in-between move. You just insert knight a3, and you're still going to take a8, right? There's nothing they can do about it. No mate on c1 either way. It's covered. So anyway, that was that one. And that was one of his first games. And I think, yeah, it's strange because, again, all of his games are as white, almost all of them. I think it's because he published some books. He published a book on the Grob, and so those are the ones that made it into the database, it looks like. So let's see, first one, yeah, so we had 50s, and then he was in the prisons in the 70s. Okay, let's see his he's playing with black. That's like the only game with black, but let's see him playing the Grob. Let's see, here's his first game with the Grob, a 13 mover, and then I guess he refined it over time. But it's like romantic era chess, although I don't think they played g4 in the romantic era. They played more like King's Gambit, but super aggressive. It's trying to create a lot of confusion. So again, he does the same thing. He hangs the pawn, but then he hits him with c4. Now this opponent did better. They didn't just hang the e pawn themselves, or the d pawn. They guard it like a Slav with c6, take, and you still do this thing. So it's basically, it's just a fork, right? Queen and bishop attack d5, and there's a bit of a crisis. So he's going to get a pawn back. Now let's see if they do queen b6. Nope, they go queen c7, give him the pawn. He decides to go knight c3, interestingly. He still takes. Now the question is, what about e6? Oh, let's see if you guys can find out why they didn't do e6. So he just takes the pawn then. He's just going to get the pawn. And same thing, if they push, he can probably just go ahead and ignore that and take b7, at least win the exchange. If they let him take b7, right? And then he can trade queens if he wants. And then take the rook and give him the knight. But why doesn't e6 work? Which is the very natural move. It's like, oh, you're not going to get my pawn. I'm blocking the bishop, but it's a blunder. Try to visualize why e6 fails. You guys see any forcing moves there?
You take it anyway?
Think about the conditions for a tactic. Loose pieces, exposed king. Pretty much those are the main.
Oh, geez, yeah.
Conditions for tactics are exposed king, loose pieces, and awkward pieces. That's how I pretty much would summarize it. Those are the pretty much the like awkward pieces, not loose, but might get forked or trapped. Okay, so do you see it, Nikki?
Yeah, queen a4.
Yeah, exactly. Because you see, you've the bishop's outside the pawn chain, which is often good, like if the knight's guarding it. But now it just doesn't work because queen a4 picks up the bishop long range. Kind of hard to visualize because you have to see the lateral attack.
Yeah, I always have trouble seeing that.
Yeah, it happens in Sicilian sometimes too, where you have to be careful about like a knight taking the this e pawn in a Sicilian, and then they have the fork. Yeah. So yeah, e6 fails because the bishop can't go back. Therefore, they just hang the pawn. And then what? Well, now it's a fork again. Now we have a new fork on f7. So yeah, it's crashing through. And then he gets that pawn. It's not over yet, but it's not pleasant. He's just up a pawn now. He's like, hey, at the very least, I'm up a pawn. You can't castle. I mean, white has a little shelter in the middle. It's a nice, because he has more center. He has two, kind of three, right? F pawns connected is kind of part of the center. So a nice little shelter in the middle. Okay, he wants the bishop to take and have dominant, light square control. Okay, that looks bad. Nice. So we have that light square control again. And if you kick the knight, probably bishop e6 is coming. So again, dominate light square is coming with check. Okay, that's a good move. Seems like, right? Hitting the queen, covering e6. Now he comes in, striking at the queen again. Okay, what's going on with this move? Visualize that. So basically, they just fell victim to this tactic. Lots of interesting tactics in this game.
Cute.
You see it? What's the
Yeah.
line?
He would do if he takes knight, queen takes him back, then the knight would hop over to
Yes.
Yep.
to what,
Six.
6, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of faint. I don't know why they don't make it black or something. You can't even see the 6.
Yeah, it's really hard to see this.
Yeah. I don't think, well, chessgames.com, it's a great site. They just haven't updated anything. I don't think so. Okay, so then he's just going to be up a piece and the guy resigned. But yeah, it's interesting how you see these themes, right? Well, let's see once he's okay. So in the 70s, you know, I don't know what year did he publish his book, but I mean, I know he had refined it more, right? So let's see, it doesn't say the guy's ratings. But yeah, vaping. So Virginia, would you say it is Virginia Penitentiary? What's it called, Matt? Just Virginia Penn, right? Penitentiary system or whatever.
I was basically just, you know, surmising that VA Penn was, yeah, Virginia Penitentiary
System tournament or whatever. Yeah. Okay. So let's just look. Okay, those are the miniatures. Let's see one where the guy okay, Monroe. They hold on for a while. So let's see how he's. So it's going to be a more subtle game. It says Grob opening general. Pretty much, but they just call it in the database. It's just all irregular openings. But yeah, in this case, it's specifically a Grob. So. And everyone, that's just his thing, is working on. I know, and again, it's probably because he was writing the book on the Grob, which ended up getting published, like, you know, and then someone stuck the games in the database. But I'm sure, you know, somewhere it says Nimzo Larsen attack. You know, it would be kind of boring to play one opening only. So there's some B3 stuff. I want to show you guys B4. Now B4 I think is actually more legit than G4. I'll show you guys some of that after we look at a few of his games. So G4, E5. Okay, so E5, I guess, is better than D5 in some cases. Well, D5, the idea is you take the center and strike at the G pawn. But now he doesn't really get the gambit. But what is there to gambit so far? Oh, he'll gambit whatever he can. So he came up with other gambits where he like gambits the E pawn and like brings the knight to E5 and stuff in certain openings. So bishop C5. Okay, he's just playing H4. Well, part of the reason is that you don't want to see queen H4 is like, okay, you're not going to get to strike at my F pawn. I mean, it's a little premature, right? But it's just going for, again, that kind of spike attack after knight F6. Okay, so black is very, you know, oh, hey, black survived Monroe for a long time. It's because he played logically, right? He didn't fall for any traps. Like, let me just take the center. I'm not going to, well, he might take the G pawn now, but he's like, okay, I'm not going to give it to you in this case because I don't have the same diagonal pressure as before, right? Okay, why not? Good. So I think black did a good job handling it. This is a better example. Obviously, just look for one where he lasts a while. Okay, so queen day. That's a nice. So he turns it into an English in a way, with a kind of bird type attack without F4. But okay, so bishop G2. Well, suddenly it looks pretty good actually. It's not a bad opening at all for white. Again, a little overextended on the king side. Maybe you should hit him with H6. Okay, he's just stopping him. So yeah, black is probably pretty high rated, like maybe an expert or something. Or master. Yeah, I like that coordination. Knights come out. Okay, he's striking at E5, although he can't take it because the bishop's pinning the knight on F3, right? The bishop on G2. Okay, swing it over. He wants H5 maybe. Knight F4 could come though. I'm not sure why he didn't play knight. Can't you play knight F4 right now? That looks playable. Yeah, you probably could have done that. I don't know, tactically, it seems fine. So they took on F3, then they came in, but it doesn't really come in with the threat. Although you can't chase it. Why can't you play E3 now to just naturally chase it away?
Because of the F2 pawn.
Well, actually, interestingly, he can get at it, but not quite, not enough. Because E3 blocks F2, the attack with the bishop. It blunts the bishop on B6, but it weakens something else. So the knight can plant itself there for some time. So, and I'm not going to make the move yet. I want you guys to visualize, you know, once that move is played, where the weakness is. So after
D3.
The E3, then what? D3?
D3.
Yeah, and then he just takes D3 with check. Not that pleasant. But B7's hanging again. See if he takes B7. Yeah, why not? And once again, you know, he's the kind of it's interesting because, you figure, hey, you want to gambit pawns, you're not interested in pawns. But ultimately, the person who gambits pawns, they'll take a pawn. Why not? They'll take it under favorable circumstances, but it's not like you can never take pawns, right?
Right.
It's the best he's got right now. Probably may as well just take it, attack the rook, and come back. Well, it has an attacking purpose, petrifying position a bit, and kick the bishop out maybe. But so he actually takes it, trades queens. Well, the thing is, yeah, now e5. There's a problem on e5, right? Does he? I don't know if you want. Yeah, you can. Tempo on the knight. Might have some tricks on d3. Yeah, maybe they could have taken on d3 and then rook e8. That might have been possible. Something like this to try and get the bishop, and then f4, f6. I don't know. It's a little murky, but you get the bishop back, and yeah, it's because the pin. So you probably could. They probably had that available. Okay, so they didn't do that though. Yeah, that's the idea though. You lure the. Yeah, they probably should take with the rook. So they make some inaccuracies, and what, you see up 2 pawns, right? 2 pawns, bishop pairs. This is effectively winning position, right? Just clean, pretty clean 2 pawns. And that happened, but not in a way that can create a problem on the E file. But he's got to watch out. Probably maybe gets the F pawn. Gets the F pawn, but still very strong for white. Only up a pawn now. H6 pawn looks good. Oh, gets the F pawn. So yeah, that was enough. So black starts making mistakes basically. Although it's kind of hard to recommend something better. Maybe king back or something like that. But yeah, now that he takes it, lures the king. So now he still has his 2 pawns, right? Attacks the knight, tucks back. And ultimately he has like no development, but he'll bring out a knight and he's just up some pawns. The bishop nicely guards, stop the fork. No need to go knight a3 because your knight's tied to c2, right? Just move your king over. Knight comes out, guards there. Okay. Now he has a nice outpost for the knight. So he's very, nice technique, right? Anyways, beyond the opening, but just shows, okay, now, yeah, he's in winning position. Up 2 pawns, no compensation, really. Take more pawns and game over, basically. Okay, that's interesting. He sacks the knight. But he determined, is that correct? Somehow I feel like that's not correct. I don't know. Because he wants to play rook check. What you do when they're trying to do the rook check is you get your king away. You could even stick your king usually on the 2nd rank, or in this case, the 7th rank. So that if they check, you take and the rook still covers. I don't know. I mean, he has a slew of pawns, but what's he going to do about that? Check. Oh, see, he's trying to lure the king away. So he wants to move with check, right? What does he do though? Oh, okay. He's got an attack on something. But again, I think he should play king back, right? Maybe here. And then I think it might have been a mistake. I don't know. But now he can push the A pawn. He's up 3 pawns for the piece, but no, if you go here, he has, no, that fails too. He has rook here. Rook takes, then skewers. Wow. Okay, fine. One other option. King, let's go king to D7. I don't know. I'm not convinced that it works. Can chase the knight, but see, like now we can chase the knight. The knight has to be protected somewhere. I don't know. He's not quite winning yeah, he's not going to promote yet. So anyway, might have been a mistake. But he's going for but it worked because it looks like it worked. Because he gets the knight now. The knight's loose. So that's why he had to keep the rook guarding d8, or the king rather, covering d8. So he's trying to pull the king here to check him. See, he needs to move the rook with a forcing move, check or attack a piece, and then he can promote. See that, and then he's going to win. Now he's like, okay, this is futile. He's up 3 pawns, right? Just game over. Completely easily winning. If he's up 1 pawn, you can fight, but 3 pawns, not too much. Okay, so that was a longer game, and so
I have
this
a
is
question.
yeah.
What's the theoretical basis of the Grob?
I'm not an expert on the Grob. I never played it, but no, the idea is it's an aggressive king side thrust. You get your bishop out and you see it. Well, really, it's like similar to an England. Well, I'm going to show you b4 as well, which is similar to b3, but it has that spike element to it. So for example, let's say when you play b4, or either way, you're going to bring your bishop out, striking at one of the central pawns. Here, let me make some arrows on there. So let's say, well, yeah, I'll just make the moves too, but let's say the arrow, okay, here. So if they go for d5, so you have your bishop on g2, and it's interesting because you're provoking them to take, then you're going for the diagonal pressure as we just saw. We just saw how that works. Combined with an English So English type of thing, or ready with c4 hitting d5, right? So you do that. And then so it's like g3, but with g4, if the knight goes to f6, you can do the spike attack against the knight and try to lure it away, right? Oops. So, you try, so you have all this play. So really the key play is happening on this diagonal. And we saw how we won the rook in some cases, right? Or chased it away. So does that kind of make sense? How you going for this g5, the pressure on d5?
I think he played it, my personal opinion is because G4 or B4, it throws off your opponent. They don't expect you to come out like that,
Yeah.
Then he was playing both. It allowed him to a lot of flexibility to play both sides of the board,
Yeah, so it actually, I mean, and again, like your opponent, I've tried like h5 against it and stuff. I don't know how correct, in blitz games, it's kind of interesting because they don't really want to take. And if they push, you can try to overextend the pawn and stuff. But yeah, I wouldn't really go to try to win the pawn necessarily. You can, but you have to know the line. It's probably like we can look at the best response, what scores the best. Now, yeah, it's not accurate necessarily, but it's good for blitz games or something in particular. But certainly it throws your opponent off, and that's the idea of these irregular openings. So it's kind of like, what you try to do with chess 960. Let's just play the game without any designated or, kind of, pre-studied openings. But yeah, so it's kind of creating disorientation, which is interesting. But of course, it's not accurate. Now in chess 960, that might be legit to start going there. But interesting, I'll show you b4 as well. No, but this is fundamentally the problem here is you've given up for the most part your ability to castle king side. You can still go queen side, but a lot of times it's like romantic era chess. You're just trying to set up a quick attack. But yeah, the g4, g5 spike attack combined with this. So again, it's like an English, but you have this spike with g5. Does that make sense, Leah?
Yes, I thought it was something like that.
Yeah, you're playing on light squares, really. But you're seeing it, yeah, and you're seeing it. Let's look at one more of these, and then I saw a really cool one. Was it? I think it was later on in his. So he's doing correspondence ones there. 10 mover. So you see a lot of times they just fall for these traps. So there are a lot of traps. Let's see one where the opponent lasts a reasonably long time. Zugzwang event. Interesting. It might be maybe that's from I know Zugzwang, I think it was like a journal. Let's see. That was a 21, so moderate. I mean, not quite a miniature. A miniature is like under 20 moves. So they call the Fritz. Well, this is that Fritz Gambit again. So it has its appeal, and you can have your traps. So they take the pawn again. So people just have a tough time dealing with it. Well, the idea again, so you see with queen b3, you're striking more. Now this is actually similar. You see d4, d5 openings when they bring out the queen's gambit lines, where they bring out the bishop early, and again you hit him with queen b3 because you hit b7 and d5. So you're striking at the light squares. Now it's enhanced by, so you're provoking and you want the bishop to leave. So not voluntarily coming out to f5. You're kind of, so you're giving away the pawn to induce that. And we saw the looseness of the bishop though, like the queen a4 check ideas, makes it hard to play e6. So it has its theoretical purpose. It's just that it shouldn't be correct. But yeah, now we have problems again. And you can't just tuck your knight back because then he's going to take on b7. You go c6. Yeah, that's the problem. You can't go a6, e6 because of queen a4 check. So really, what do you do? So it's already problematic. I think, I don't know. Let's find the best reply real quick. But yeah, it's really interesting. But you can see you can see how dangerous it can get, especially if your opponent's caught unawares. Yeah, I mean, he just got the pawn back, messed up his opponent's pawn structure. So he's giving up his bishop, right? The bishop pair. Okay, but what's he gonna do? I mean, I guess here that he's pinned up, right? Bishop d7, he just trades it, and he got 2 pawns, so he got his pawn back ultimately, right? Like and then he's a really good endgame player. He's like, let me just tuck my bishop in that, get him in the pocket there. It's fianchetto, get the g file pressure, play on the c file. Yep, open c file. Naturally, want to go there. Kick the knight, take, and he's just up a pawn in the endgame with pressure on the diagonal. Rook lift. So you see, it's just like a great open, and the guy just resigned. Well, he's going to lose another pawn. I think knight c7. Eventually, he'll probably get that pawn. Maybe he'll swing over this way or something and come here. Yeah, that's probably it. And bishop d6. I don't know. The guy resigned maybe prematurely, but yeah, he's winning pawns. He's got nice piece placement. So you can see it has its appeal. Okay, let's take a look at, let's see his last game that's in here. This is oh, then he plays the Nimzo Larsen attack with the guy drew. But let's take a look at the last game. 21 moves again. There's a correspondence game, right? Not so I don't know. It was played in the prisons, but not like against. That's interesting though. That would allow him to play people outside the prisons. Okay, he goes to D4 and then G4. Interesting. They take it so you can see what. Oh, that's kind of strange, but yeah, you can play for E4. It's actually similar. I'll show you. There's a line, so it's knight F3, G5 right away. Very similar. Knight takes, you go E5. I remember there's a mathematician. I'm not recalling his name now. A mathematician from New York. I played him twice. So he responds to my English with H5 both times. First time I got him. Second time I was better, and I messed it up. It was actually kind of cool. He got his queen on the second rank and mated me laterally, but set up a mating threat, which was hard to meet. But yeah, so he talked about this. I overheard him actually the term. He's like, oh, check out this line. So he likes irregular openings. But the thing is, what I think what I found against it is you just go D4 because it guards your knight against the queen and it smashes their center. And that seems like a pretty good reply to this sort of premature pushes. And you do win the G pawn, but it's kind of like a reverse version of that, right? In a way, that's the E pawn. But he's going for this sack in order to push his center, right? Then he gets E4 in. And yeah, he just has a nice center. But again, problems on the diagonal. Can't quite reach him. You guys tuck your bishop to F2. That's what he does, actually. But no one's coming after his king. You can castle queenside. See? Actually, white has a really nice position. It's a good compensation. Black is going for this kind of hippo, like small center type setup. And yeah, then he's just like has a free attack. And well, he's missing a G pawn, which can help him do like sacrificial stuff on the G file, right? He can set up some attacks. He's got the bishop. So you can see there's the bishop on the A2 to G8 diagonal. So he's kind of trying to loosen this up, right? Because he wants to open the H file. But if he takes with the F pawn, he loses E6. You might have some gambits, some sacks. And then rook here can hit G6, H file, diagonal, maybe a knight sack somewhere, right? So there's a lot of stuff going on. And then F4, F5 strikes at those points more on the whites. So he's blocking the white squares. But then he's kind of, because he blocks, though, it becomes like a French scenario where the board is split in half, right? It's actually quite reminiscent of the French. But now he's just going to attack. The queen wants to be nearby, but she's not. He could even check right now, but he doesn't. But you check, the knight still covers H7. So it's not mate or something. Actually, pretty good defense by black. Here's the check. He just gave it up right now. Oh, wait a second. Oh, because he has rook takes G6. I guess there's no defense. Oh, that's nasty. Here, no, I don't know. I think it's not over yet, is it? Because the knight covers H7. Let's say you go here. I think now there's rook take, this vicious rook takes G6. Still fighting a little bit, but you see how they can't take with anything? Pawn can't take, it's pinned. Why can't the knight take?
8.
Again, I'm not going to move it yet. I want you guys to work on visualizing ahead of time. Rook takes G6. You don't do anything, he's threatening mate on G7. You can cover laterally again. So I think he should have fought on. It's bad, but he's getting his pawn back with interest, right? With just a free attack, basically. This is all collapsing, but still.
Isn't that the H7 pawn can't take because it's pinned.
And the knight?
I mean, it can't. I mean, if
No, yeah, no, and what if the knight takes?
yeah,
That's
what I meant to say is that if the knight takes, then the queen can just take the knight because the pawn can't move.
Oh, well, better than that. We have better than that. Oh, it's pinned so the pawn can't take. And if the knight takes, we could take the knight and get the. No, but then we're still just losing the exchange. But we can do better than that. The knight's overloaded.
Yeah, the knight's overloaded. And if the knight takes, like Leah said, the pawn is pinned.
You
And
could do that, Leah, but you have a better. What's the other move, Lynn?
Yeah, the queen just takes the pawn.
Right. Now you see it in front of you, right? Right, Leah. Yeah,
Understand.
you take H7. So, but either way, yeah, you're exploiting the pin. So exploiting a pin exploiting the focal point, pressure on the focal point. But yeah, I think he just would ignore it. I don't know. I think it should have played on a little bit. Let's see. Well, the problem is you still want to guard this. If you move away, they start striking on they break through on D5 and they want to go to G8 and stuff. I don't know. You still should have, even there's possible, but let's say rook E7. They can certainly fight on, I think, yeah. Because they're covering the mate. This is guarded 3 times. I would fight on still, unless I'm missing something, but all he's got are the 3 pieces in here and they're not quite doing enough, right? Oh, wait, hold on. No, but now the knight's actually threatening it. If you're going to mate on G8, oops, the knight takes. And now he's just down a rook without sufficient, compensation, because it looks bad, but everything's covered. Oh, there's a queen F6, hold on. No, I don't think it matters that much. You can't, no, you could even go here. I think you can do that. Yeah, and you cover everything. So I don't know. I think they should have played on. They somehow, I guess they thought it was worse than it was, maybe intimidation factor. I mean, it looks scary, right? But you can do some cutthroat stuff where you let them do this. And again, it looks like, oh no, they're gonna, if I go back, wait, what about even here? I don't know what happened. Maybe the opponent just freaked out or something. But yeah, there's the Grob. He's doing pretty well with the Grob, as you can see. But I'll show you real quick.
Well, you have to remember, David, that the environment in which he was playing was in jail, and he felt like the Grob, he could win and win and win with the Grob. So he wouldn't want to lose to his counter jailmates, because he has a reputation in jail to keep.
Yeah. No, I don't know about that one, because it was actually correspondence. It might have been people in other jails, or maybe, you can kind of play anyone and maybe enter some correspondence event or something. So yeah, I'm on chess.com. Chess.com is a good free resource. Well, not free, never mind. Well, yeah, because I'm a titled player, then they give you a diamond membership for life, which is nice, because they want to have titled players on the site. But yeah, I'm on here because I like the well, you used to be Explorer, now you have to go into openings. And then I like the Explorer. So you go over here, and then you go to Explore openings. So we can see, based on what masters do. But the difference from Lichess or other sites is you can filter the games. So you actually see who's the strongest. No, you could do that kind of on, no, Lichess is average. We've talked about this, right? Lichess is averaged, I think. Whereas on chess.com, you can see, obviously through ChessBase, you can manipulate whatever you want, tweak all the numbers. But, this is another resource you can use without paying too much, or for free if you're a title player, but without paying a ton like ChessBase. But yeah, there are certainly free resources. This is another thing, since I have it here, you can do it. So we do master games. You can even look him up, I guess. You can see, that would actually be interesting to see what other games they have of his. But if you look up Bloodgood, but yeah, we can see what masters did. But the key is that you can see, so you can look at one master or top rated games with just white or just black. So we can, so for example, like we did G4, well, when is it going to start showing us? We're going to see bad results overall, 33% versus 49% for black. So overall, it's bad at master level. So for example, D5 is, they're both pretty even actually, D5 or E5. But let's say they want to go for the gambit. And then do we have the games? Yeah, we can see view all games from current position. And so we can filter for for white. And so the difference is we can, oh, Nakamura drew with, well, he played against Ferrugia, must have been Blitz or something. Interesting. They went for a quick draw. That's weird. Yeah, but you can see
Nakamura played the
we see
G4
Nakamura
too.
3 times. What's that?
I'm looking at Nakamura's game up here. He played the G4 too right out the gate.
Yeah, he did it 5 times here. So
Yeah.
we'd have to see probably Blitz games. But yeah, Caruana's done it. Interesting. Oh, he lost. Oh, that's embarrassing. It's like, it's kind of embarrassing if you lose it. You could be like, oh, well, I lost because I did the Grob. It's like, why'd you do the Grob? But if you win, it's sort of humiliating to your opponent. Like, oh no, I just lost to the Grob. So it's kind of weird like that. But you throw your opponent off as a psychological fight. But so what I was saying is, so we can see the games of Nakamura. Now he plays at 2,500, and he drew him. The guy knew his opening, right? But so this wouldn't show up at the top of the database. Oh yeah, it's 2,900. So this is like Blitz or Bullet. So it's you can filter maybe for that, but see, so this wouldn't show up at the top, I think, of Lichess necessarily. It's about average rate. No, actually, it's still pretty high because he's 2,900 in this. He's really at 2,700 otherwise, high 2,700. But yeah, other than him, you see Caruana, you see Carlsen, and again, like you see him playing this is a real one, I think, because he has about that rating, or higher in classical chess. So he's playing a 2486, and that may not show up. So you could keep looking at the top ones. Whereas on 365 chess, you could just pick a player. You see people who play it most frequently. The difference there is that they might be a 2400, but they're a specialist. They may have played the Grob 50 times. So even though they're not Magnus or Nakamura, they've played it a lot, right? And so you could learn from that and still see, hey, at 2400s beating other 2400s or 2200s, still pretty good for club players to learn from, right? So they all have their benefits, but I do like this so we can see, okay, let's look at, well, Nakamura beats Benjamin Bach, but again, this is probably a bullet game. What's the event? Or maybe a titled Tuesday. Yeah, it's titled Tuesday Blitz, late 2022. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, they have the late night one. So G4, D5. But we'll see how to handle it too. So in this case, he's like, I'm just going to guard my pawn. Kind of boring, right? And then the guy secures his pawn, Benjamin. D3. Actually, Benjamin beat me once in a, what was it? Maybe it was a titled Tuesday. It was a pretty fun game, but my queen ventured and he trapped my queen in a really intricate way. So G takes, he was streaming it too. He streams a lot. So now I have H6. Kind of strange, right? But like I said, the H5 thrust. Can't go G5 right now. I don't know about knight G2. So he's just kind of playing in the center and, he just has the G file to work with, but I think black is completely fine here. So he opens up the attack against the rook, right? He doesn't want to take the rook though, because then they're going to take his knight and attack his bishop, 2 pieces for the rook. So they just move away. And then he comes in, but now actually he's got some attacks. He's got the bishop pair. Light square bishop, not great, but you can go, no, he's going to go bishop H3. There it is. Nice pin. And here comes F5. Oh yeah, that's some nice pressure on the king side. Even though the guy's castled, Bach is castled queen side, doesn't mean he can't attack him on the king side still. That's where he's brewing up his attack. That's pretty nice. Messes up his pawn structure, plants the bishop, guards the H pawn with the rook, and he just moves his king over. He doesn't have to play C3, I guess, and mess up his queen side. So now it looks like he's, he's striking. That's a good move because he's going to be able to pick up the pawn. See, that was a mistake. He's like, oh, I'm going to take your B pawn. Nope, he blocked. That was just a mistake. Looks like just winning the pawn. Of course, his king's a little open, but now here comes an H pawn, tie him down. Oh, look at that, cutthroat. Look at that. He's letting the queen come in. Doesn't do anything. F2's covered. He always has king G2, can't check on the G file. So he's just pretty much nice advantage. Very strong. But now you think, oh, well, it's opposite color bishops. Can I hold? Not really. The bishop can't easily get back because he's blockading the F pawn, can't come back. Now we just want to go rook G1 to G8. Probably done. Yeah, okay, he's like, let me take that one before your pawn moves too quickly to. He's hoping that he'd do the same thing. No, there's not enough time, I think. He's going to try and push the pawn, but we can easily, if you need to. Now you could just bring the king over, or you could even play E5 and tuck the bishop back on B1 to cover, and then you have a rook and bishop against the bishop. So anyway, that's okay. So that's Nakamura winning with it in kind of a sketchy way. But it just shows the initiative you can gain. That's a lot of it. It's just initiative, pressure on D5. But we'll see. Okay, let me show you how to handle it. Then I'll show you the orangutan. Which I think that's more legit because you'll see it's actually similar to the ready opening. So we have and then other than that, there's like A3, A6 stuff, which is kind of fun, like Andersen's opening. The Andersen, if you guys are like A6, it's actually not that bad. It looks like one of my students actually played D4, D5. He does the Queen's Gambit with A6. I think he said he learned it from Gotham Chess, the streamer. But he said like not a lot of people don't play it. It's not that common though. So we have G4. Okay, so either E5 or D5. We see the person who survived a while played E5 against Bloodgood. Well, let's look at, C5 did not do well for black. Let's look at the main line is D5. This is theory, I guess, to the extent that we probably looked at computers and figured it out. Now H3 is boring, right? Let's say you go bishop G2. Now how does black handle it? So this is what he beat everyone with, right? Offering the pawn. You can take it. Well, but look, this is supposed to be the best move, it seems. C5, okay. Then C6, no, did he play C4? I think he did try C4 still, didn't he? Because he wants queen B3, yeah? Let's see what happens. I don't think, no, he never played it. Maybe like once. But then it's too slow. If he goes H3, just take the center. That's kind of what the guy did, and they did fine. Okay, D3. Really anything. That makes sense. Bishop D6. And black is just fine, right? I wouldn't play knight. Maybe, I remember the guy did bishop D6, then stuck his knights in the middle. Probably what happened is that guy He's like, oh, I know Bloodgood plays the Grob. I'm gonna look up the theory, right? So he probably found a book on that. There wasn't, yeah, I don't know about back, there wasn't internet access. Oh no, maybe. No, I doubt that, because now it's very common to have internet access in the prisons, but probably not in the 90s or whatever it was. I doubt it. Maybe toward the end of the 90s, possibly, right? But I know nowadays it's common, right? 'Cause education in prisons. So anyway, this is C6. Okay, so if he's going for C4, how do you win? Oh, let's flip it. So how do you handle this? Very, very dangerous. Okay, it's saying you can take it, but take this one. Let's take this pawn though, because the idea is that white really wants to put pressure on D5, and by taking, he's loosening up the diagonal to create some problems, right? So let's just take this. Now you fortified C6, right? And now this is still hanging. So what does he do? Okay, let's say he pushes the G pawn. That's kind of what he would do. And then black won 2 games. I don't know who the players are, but here's a recent game. Oh yeah, like I said, that's very natural. H6, H4. He just took it. And then he took the rook, just start trading pieces. And now we have, we can use some squares because white is arguably overextended. He just now he plays E5 like the other one did. That's kind of annoying. He just takes it. Now he's up 2 pawns, right? Queen C2 and just guards it with tempo. Okay, he gets a pawn back. What's he up, a pawn now? But he has pretty good positioning. It's okay it's still not terrible for white. Oh wait, what's going on? What is going on? Queen H4. Wait, did he mess this up somehow? What's going on? Because I think he has like Queen G4. No, I don't even know what's going on. Let's see, Bishop G2. Knight C5. Did he mess this up? Yeah, I think black, well, he's got an attack. I think he botched that a little bit. He didn't need to do that. He lost a piece, actually. Okay, wait, let's see what the other person did. So you can just explore, get a sense. But I think out of the opening, D takes makes sense. The other one was possible. Let's see. Okay, what did the other one do? After taking it. Okay, so again, that knight A3 move. No, which one? Oh, H3. No, we were looking at the aggressive G5, right? And then the other person won with E5. Didn't really mess around with the file. He still goes H4. Now they did. Interesting. Same. Oh, it's the same thing with the G6, but it's not as isolated. Queen C2 idea again, right? It's not as isolated. So knight goes to F3 because the other one had isolated G pawns. Queen C2 forking them. Same exact thing, right? But they didn't hang the G knight this time, right? Because they had traded off the rook, see? And so actually trading rooks didn't benefit them previously. And Bishop E6. And then black is just what? Black's up a pawn, right? Black's still up a pawn. White doesn't really have too much to show for it. And by the way, pushing looks aggressive, but you're gonna walk into the pin. Bishop just comes back and walking into the pin on the E file. So that doesn't work. Okay, so how does this finish? How does white gain? How does black gain something? Just like consolidates. See, so black is good. They're doing just fine. And now they got problems here. That's a big problem. Can't move the bishop because F2 falls. You could take the bishop, get the bishop pair, hit the dark squares. Oh yeah, that's not pleasant. Right, you can see, yeah, this is pretty much winning now, right? Bishop pair is coming in, still up a pawn, and this is going his way. Prophylactic move. Does that make sense? Just take, so this is the line where you just take the C pawn. I don't think you don't even have to, but that seems like a pretty clean way to play just to stop it. But okay, but look, this is the main move. You don't have to fear, apparently. Let's see. Okay, they take on D5. What's the move? This is what happened in the Bloodgood games, right? So what is the best? It's only happened 4 times in this database. So what should they do? Apparently, yeah, I don't know, but you can see that it's not great, right? White does get a lot of play. Just remember, you can't solidify your pawn because of the fork. So what does he do? I mean, knight D7, apparently that won twice. Let's see. Okay, they're going to take something. Let's say the bishop takes. That's the same thing, right? Okay, they're giving pawns back. But the thing is, if the bishop takes, you would pin the bishop. So the bishop has to go back. So basically what happened is, yeah, you give him the pawn back, but what's the problem? Why is black probably doing better here overall? They've consolidated, they're developing. Overall, why do you think black is doing well after they've kind of killed off the main threats?
Because his both knights and his bishop and queen has a lot of flexibility.
They're
Especially
ahead in development, good piece placement, flexibility.
yeah,
Right,
yeah.
C5 and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
And what about the pawn structure?
it's good.
It's better. Technically, it's better. Well, again, there's the consequence of G4. I mean, yeah, white can castle queenside, but that's going to be, maybe black could even shove the H pawn down the board, you know, try to put some more pressure over here. That's an isolated H pawn. So they're just not getting the kinds of things that Bloodgood got against his opponents. So yeah, and yeah, the king, but the king is interesting, you know, he has the 3 pawns. So he kind of has like he has a fortress in the middle. It's just a strange thing. But black is ahead of development. They're super solid. Yeah, B7, watch out for B7. What do they do? But he doesn't want to waste time, because black, if you waste time taking, it's like, but remember, it's like, yeah, you could take a pawn back if it works out for you. So white could be up a pawn temporarily, but look at black's after, you know, I guess the rook would go to B8. It's kind of messy, actually. No, you go to rook C8, attack the bishop, but black has a huge lead in development. So that's not the idea of the opening, right? Only if you get a free pawn, you get 2 pawns back, white's up a free pawn, but here it's not like clean like that. So does it show what happened? Knight C3 was played. Rook B8. Now he just guards it. And again, you can't take it with the bishop. It's pinned. You just attack it again. So D4, bishop D6. Actually, white does have 2 central pawns, but he doesn't have too much to show for it. Yeah, look at that completed development. And now the conundrum is, okay, what do you do with the white king? What does he do with his king? He moves away. It's strange, but ultimately black just has a really safe king. So white didn't really gain much out of it. They have the problem of their king. I'm not really sure what they have here. Oh wait, he just won an exchange too. And they're being pinned, right? Probably shouldn't have taken that, but okay. See once it's resolved. Wait, what's going on? Yeah, he's up in exchange. He ends up winning. So it seems that, yeah, you can play either bishop takes G4, but that's the cutthroat. But as you see, it gave white a lot of play with queen B3. But the idea is you give them, that's the line where you give them pawns back. Now you see there's a slight compromise for, I mean, white's okay though. White can play it, right? You can see it's not terrible. Like, and then there's the line, but the thing about taking on C4 is that now you've taken 1 pawn. You want to take the gambit G pawn in addition to the C pawn, and you want to show that white doesn't have enough for it. Okay, like we looked at H3 G5. What about the 9A3 line? What I was saying is, like, in any case, yeah, white gets a little play against G6 in those lines and stuff. That was the H6 after G5 line, the most aggressive line for white. But you can see white gets play and they got a pawn back. They damage black's pawn structure. But if you play it really well with black, you can handle it. But the other thing is, you know, when he goes G5, again, there are many ways to play this. You don't have, oh, we looked at E5. Yeah. Ultimately, they get G6 in, but that's fine. So does that make sense how you can handle it? Probably I would just say take the pawn. Just take it. Because you really, by taking it, you take the pressure off the diagonal. You open up the diagonal a little bit, but look, now it's guarded twice. That's not, there's nothing going on. And you didn't bring your bishop out to take, which means you haven't taken that risk of B7 falling. And you've taken here, so they still don't have queen B3. Yeah, they just don't get their bishop D5. They don't get their queen B3. So white doesn't get the things that they want. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you can play G5. You could play E5 too if you want to look into that. That's play. I think you play this. You always make them worry about the pawn. You just solidify like a Slav defense, and then you just take the pawn. And if they don't do that, I mean, what else do they have? Okay, again, there's the H3 line, and then you just take the center. That's very, very similar to what happened. You can defend it or push, and black's doing just fine. I kind of like just defending it. And then actually white won that game, but I think black's okay there. That's just based on how it went or the strength of the players. But certainly you can do that, but you can just push. And yeah, pretty good position there. So, and then I want to show you the orangutan. Is wait, how do you pronounce it? Orangutan, right? The orangutan with B4. Why can't I go move 1? So it's actually pretty decent open. Here's the thing. I'll show you the similarity to the ready. So it's with knight F3 and C4. So you go B4. Now the main moves E5. Bishop B2. So again, you're gambiting the B pawn, but it's better to push your B pawn than your G pawn, right? I mean, you can still castle kingside. It's fundamentally, it's a little better. The other thing is that, you know, C4, B4. So what I was getting at, I'll show you right afterwards, but this is often played in certain openings. So we're attacking the pawn. There's actually a line that I learned where you take it and then you play D. Larry Christensen showed this. You attack. Okay. Well, they want to take G7. And then you end up playing like just push your pawns out and black just gets quick development. Let's say like you can castle or play G5 and you can see black is scoring pretty well. What do they do? E3 is common. White has more center though, because they traded the B pawn for the E pawn. They took a central pawn, but then you go D5 and you can play C5 and see 46% versus 27%. So that's a pretty good way to play for black. Just bring your knight out. Scores pretty well, comfortable development. So that's if they know what they're doing, they should probably do that. But let's just look at a main line. So E5, bishop B2. Yeah, let's just say they take. I think that is pretty much the main way to go there. But if they don't take it, if they decline it, maybe D6, for example. That's just kind of boring though. And then there's where you see C4 and B4 is actually useful. Again, the knight can't really come out. You can, but you get hit by the spike, by that bayonet kind of spike attack again on the other side of the board. So you can see scoring a little better for white now, actually. I mean, white's completely fine, right? Let's see. G3 scores well. It's like in English. Now that's really like in English because Leah, we were talking about G4. It's like an extended fianchetto English, right? Now this is pretty much a legit English. Normal, very normal. I guess this score is really way better than this one. Let's see, knight f3. Maybe they want to strike at this pawn. Let's say castles. Just get a sense when you look through the database, right? You can just get a sense, kind of sample things, but you can see that you're fine with white if you play this. But I want to show you also kind of similar. Yeah, this is like in English, but kind of similar in the, I think it's in a ready against G6. So the ready begins with knight f3, right? Yeah. Oh no, so B4, knight f6. And now you can actually play C4 right now. You can also play what would be the moves, knight f3, G6. So you can play C4 now. It's kind of similar, right? But this is totally legit, right? Scores better for white here, right? Significantly. But it's just, you know, it's the other thing. There's another thing where black tries to push the pawns like a Benoni reverse. And then you know, the B4 move is very useful. So it just restricts your opponent. Let's see. For example, I think it would be in this line. Would it be the D5 line? Knight f3, let's say knight f6, C4. For example, if they bypass it like that, then you can see that, you know, it's very useful to have this in because you've kind of precluded C, or you made it harder to play C5 to hold the D pawn, right? Can't go E5 yet. When it goes to knight C6 to hold the E pawn, of course, we go B5. So you can see the inclusion is very interesting. You know, let's say what do they do? Sure, G3. There's your C5. And actually, they just ignore it. They just it's better. They can just ignore it with B5 is fine too. You can just play bishop here, takes, and they're playing it in Banco Gambit style. Let's say go D3. This line ended up winning. Weird. Transpose, it actually ends up scoring pretty well for black, but it has its purpose. Let's see. What's one that actually scores well for white? Well, let's bring out the bishop first. Okay, and then again, C5 is just a good move. It's like a gambit. It looks like a gambit. But okay, let's find a better response. Oh, that's interesting. It's actually doing really well. Again, let's see, G3. Again, if they want, I don't think they should. No. That's better because you're not letting them take. See, because you already have your bishop out. That's a better line for white, I think. So let's say, okay, what do they do? Queen C7. Oh, Timon's very strong. Timon goes. So this is a hyper modern chess as we looked at before, with more flank play. E5 was played. So instead of knight C6 to play E5, they go queen C7 because they know the queen's not going to be attacked. And they still don't want, but you see, keep intimidating them for bringing out the knight because you have the spike there. Okay, now he wants, so now they play E5. They might want to take now. So he just takes. No, castles is his move. Still allows it, right? That's his game. E3 now, not D3, E3. So this is like a Blumenfeld gambit reversed. Takes. That they can, and then this is, and that's hanging too, by the way. So yeah, this is pretty good play for white. So E3 strikes at it, bishop pins, takes. What if he probably relied on, was hoping to push, then rook E1, I think, pinning it. But takes, check, bishop out. Okay, let's see what the check's all about. Oh, that's how you get off the pin. That's how you get off the pin, yeah. Bishop comes back though. Takes the B pawn. Oh, that's nice.
That
Threatening.
is nice.
threatening mate, yeah. And now we have this same thing with the Grob, but again, without the cost of, I mean, certainly there's some cost to playing G4. It's a trade-off, right? Get your spike attack, play provocatively, but of course, yeah, white hasn't really.
And that's a good example of when your king has a castle yet, and you have a piece
Yeah.
standing in front of him. That's a very good example.
Yeah, exactly. Well, now what are they going to do? Okay, at least they get knight c6 and no spike attack now. B pawn's gone. But you can see this is just good in general because you have that D pawn under pressure. Okay, they got to hold that for now because of E3. So you're striking. So again, that's what I'm getting at is the B4 can be kind of makes it hard for black to play as if they're playing with white with the first move where white goes D4, D5. Now black tries D5, D4 as if it's like a D pawn opening reversed. But I was thinking, yeah, it should be pretty good for white in general. Okay, they're just bothering him there. Actually, the queen gets this, but then I think there's gonna be a crisis on E7. There's like some bishop A3 stuff coming. Okay, you gotta deal with the queen though. Knight A3. Very interesting. Well, the thing is they got the C pawn, but this D pawn is gonna fall. That's just gonna fall. Queen moves. That's a weird move. Queen B1. I don't understand that move. It's strange, right?
Yeah, what is that about? Oh, maybe.
I don't know. Oh, it's making way for knight C2 to take. But interestingly, well, here's the thing about it. You could take now, but you know it's going to fall anyway, right? So what he does is he's like, I'm going to take it.
On
I'm
my
going to take it with
terms.
my knight, which is out of play. So it's a smart move, I think.
That's really, yeah.
And if he pushes, again, that's just a wasted move. No, you could probably even take, oh, that's a nice line. You can take here. The queen's hanging, and then you have the in between. Oh no, you don't. It's pinned. Never mind. Doesn't. But either way, then they have to do this, which is highly unpleasant. Yeah, it's still pretty good. I wonder if there's anything else, but you don't have to take. But you know, it's just a lot of pressure on us.
Yeah.
So anyway, they don't do that. They go for queen d6. Then the knight takes. Oh, that knight takes ultimately. Okay, I guess they don't. They want to just come right at him. Knight c2, maybe now d3 is played or something. So he just takes it. Castles. And here comes the pressure. But he's not down a pawn. It's more, that's an isolated pawn, but it's about the piece placement. Look at this active piece placement, right? Queen's attacked. She goes, take. Nope. Oh, it's a fork. That's even better.
Huh.
That's coming with that. Well, think about it. Yeah, you have the bishop here if you take b5, but you want that bishop because that's the one dealing with this diagonal. F6, you're still
Yeah,
hitting.
both his bishops.
Yeah.
Dang.
No, that's too much. That's too
Yeah.
much. Oh, counter. Oh, that's interesting. He has a counter. That's a nice move. So he's got it. Okay, so he takes the queen. They take his queen. You come back. No, you can't come back. You take this one. The bishop's hanging. What are we at now? They have to retreat. Well, it's still really nice piece placement. Bishop pair. Let's deal with the knight. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Because knight c6, you take b7. And now the knight's hanging. And then you're just up a pawn. Beautiful bishop pair in this game. If you want to, you can always take and double his pawns. You don't need to, though. Keep your bishop pair. You can double your rooks. B7 looks like it's collapsing and win a pawn. Bishop pair, great position. Should be pretty much winning strategically. Yeah, he's up a pawn now. And then A7's hanging. Yeah, he's up 2 pawns now. And there's not much to show for that, right? He just pushes. He's like, okay, you can take. I'm up 2 pawns. Maybe 1 rook behind each pawn or something, right? Yeah, that's pretty cool, right? So I was trying to show you a better example. I think that if you look at Tim, and yeah, he's very strong. But yeah, this is very interesting. So, well, that's if they see the C5 stuff. But you can see what's happening though, is you're making it very hard. So again, if black plays super aggressively, you're clearly guarding some dark squares. So you're making it harder to achieve this move, right? You can see C5. Yeah, so it's, but I bet you a lot of people won't do that. What do they do? No, it's hanging. You want to push, just kind of cripple the structure. Probably just take it and push. You can even push here and get it later with queen. But yeah, I'd kind of like that. You have to double your pawns, and you just get it back, right? And you're just up. You get it. You're up a pawn. So yeah, you can see it. The Orangutan has some, you know, some sting. Now but again, the most natural move is here. Bishop e2, bishop takes. Bishop takes. But yeah, this way it does pretty well for black if they know what they're doing. Let's see which ones. Yeah, all of these lines black is doing better actually. But keep in mind white does. The idea though is white has, you know, white has more center, but it's just not. But black is pretty dynamic. You know, so castles. again, yeah, you have the e pawn coming. You want to try and play d4, but again, this is just d5 is actually the way to go. Rook e8 also good. Bishop. Oh, this is not hanging. So, but look at the scores for black. Now, yeah, really the thing to do is not even to go d6 because you're going to go d5 anyway. And what's going to happen is the knight's going to attack. So don't waste your time with the one move attack because you're going to go twice. You're not gaining a tempo because the bishop's going to tuck back. So it's a nice move. D5, castles, then c5, winning 5 times. Amazing. Oh, there's an Ivanchuk loses to Geary. Let's see how Ivanchuk loses.
Yeah.
Oh, then it transposes though. See, it transposes to different lines. That's interesting. I don't know. But we'll look at just briefly, let's finish this opening by looking at their game. Wait, so it went knight c6. It was or was it d4? Right, I'll go back to that game actually. Where'd it go? Oh, wait, we're on the game. I think so. No, we have to click on view games. And then we go here. Okay, there's the game. This is Leon, Spain. Okay. So let's see how he wins. Yeah, I think he's doing this d5 thing and c5. Right? Oh, he's going rook e8. So d5 or rook e8. Yeah, he does the same thing. See, I mean, they could attack the bishop, just tuck it on a5. Doesn't matter. So he voluntarily goes back and then the knight. So yeah, really knight. You could just see, yeah, white has an extra central pawn, but black has those 2 pawns out like as if he's playing d4 c4 with white. And it's just very common. I mean, black has 4 pieces out, white has 3 out, bishop's coming next. Very easy to play for black. Just free piece play, right? Really easy game to play. So I mean, yeah, it's not terrible for white, but this is if black really knows what they're doing. So now you know what you're doing. And this, I mean, it's not like black's winning, but white didn't really gain anything out of the opening. Endgame pieces will just centralize queenside majority. So pretty even. But now suddenly white makes a weakness on e3, right? E3 and e4 are actually both weak. You can plant a knight on e3. I mean, on e4, you can attack the e3 pawn. So this is a very weakening move. But then again, what you do? You can't go knight f3. No, bishop takes. You can trade queens. Probably could have done that. Okay. So okay, now we're going on. Now we're going to trade, hit the light squares. He just decides to swing on to e4, attacks. Well, okay, attacks the e pawn. What is it? Why are you going here? I guess there's no good way to defend it. Oh, he's threatening queen takes d4, you see? It's a dual threat. It's like a fork, right?
Mhm.
He's threatening, it's a fork because of the pin. You guys see that?
Yes.
So we have, okay, what's going on? So he gets the pawn, kind of gets a pawn back, but not quite. His bishop b6 is not going to be pleasant. Yeah, he doesn't want that. So he doesn't take it back. He's going to get it back that way, right? But still, problems on the diagonal. And now maybe even if he gets the knight back, the knight gets the pawn back, those rooks are coming in. The bishop's really strong. Okay, fixes the pawn, gets a loop for his king. Passed pawns. Yeah, that looks very strong, right? And now the moment he goes back, you can unleash your bishop, which is exactly what he did. And now, actually, where does the knight go? Wow, the knight's dominated right now. It has to go in the corner.
Oh my God.
Yikes, that's not pleasant. And oh no, you can cover a c2 and try to blockade. It's not pleasant. He's maintaining his extra pawn too. He's got 2 passed pawns. You can see cx. You can see that. Well, it may as well run that, right? 93.9. It was even for a while. So white was okay, yeah, but again, they didn't get anything. They just didn't get anything out of the opening. So black was just comfortable. And was f4 good? Oh, apparently it's the best move, but I think, well, it says it's okay for white. Where did it turn? It does not like bishop a3. It says knight b5. Why not? That looks a lot better. Of course, the computer will find that, but yeah, so it doesn't like bishop a3. Good move, decides to swing this way. It's interesting that the queen maneuver is good. Oh, because again, the moment he abandons the knight, now he's threatening it. Tempo. He wins a pawn. But again, you really don't want to worry about that diagonal by taking. But then he ultimately he does get to utilize it. But saying black's ahead like at least a point. He's up a pawn, plus he has a nice position. And then this was just apparently a blunder. And now he wants to push, and now again, if the knight, what's the win though? You just push, knight comes over. I would bring my knight over to cover. Okay, you go here. The rook can go behind. What do we do now? Do we bring the rook in? Oh, we can check him because we're covering. Okay, force the king back. But now what? Do we come in here?
Then you bring the rook in. Bring the rook in, rook takes the rook, and then no.
Oh, the problem is the e2 is hanging. Well,
Yeah,
I'm not immediately seeing why this is working. Because the take, what am I missing?
There's some kind of mate or something?
Oh, yeah, you have back rank, duh. No, because you have to insert this first. Yeah, that's one. So he gets him on the back rank, then he has to lose the knight, take the knight. So that's why. Okay, so it's a fork. That's nice. It's a fork threatening a mate or a back rank idea, which wins the knight because they have to block. You guys see that? It's a nice, that's actually a really nice tack. I didn't see that first. So we have this. So we hang the pawn to make them abandon the back rank. And now we have our check. See? It's pretty bad.
And just a question. I'm not looking at the, I was just wondering, like, instead of that, I mean, obviously that's the better one, but if you did rook,
Oops, hold on. I accidentally clicked.
used your,
Let me get, sorry, let me get rid of
oh,
that.
that's okay. If you just moved your rook up to
there we go.
protect the pawn instead, that doesn't work, right? Because the king gets there in time.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, is this good enough? Because at first I'm looking more mechanically, kind of slower.
Yeah,
It's probably not bad. No, I mean, no, that's what I originally. I think it's just like a more boring way of doing it. Because like the knight is still.
I'll take the boring if it works.
No, it's that's the thing though. It's still winning. It's still winning it because like let's say go here, you still have bishop f2. No, it's winning. It's just the other one's cooler. That's what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
the other one's definitely cooler, but okay.
No,
As
but
long
then
as
the
I
key-
just,
Yeah, the key is you have this insertion. You don't go as at first. I'm like, oh, is that good enough? King comes. Well, even that's strong. No, but then you don't have bishop f2. So you want to insert the check. So then you get the bishop to f2 after this line.
Hmm.
And then you, yeah, that's pretty miserable. Or here. Yeah, they're losing material. I think here you just could probably just take it. And they can't take the rook. Well, they're gonna lose. They're gonna get the
yeah.
rook. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And then let me show you guys quickly. I'm gonna go to this library chess event soon. That's why I did the class earlier and held the class.
Yeah, that's so neat. Is that like one of your teams playing there or something?
Yeah, the library in Southeast DC. I'm representing the library on
Yay.
coach, and there. Yeah, we have several teams. Battle with the branches. It looks fun. Let's see. So let's go back to the Explorer. Where'd it go? I just want to show you briefly the A3 and A6 stuff. Okay, okay, let me just go back. Learn. Where did it go? Openings. Where's the opening thing there? Okay. Explore. Okay, so now I'll show you A3. Now A3, it looks terrible, right? But the idea is it could become like a Sicilian. So after E5, it's a reverse Sicilian. See, the idea is that you then go C4 and it scores just fine. Because the Sicilian where it's the same thing where it's E4, like E4, C5, and they get their A6 coming like a Najdorf. But it's kind of like the problem with this though is you don't know exactly where it's going to go. So you might want to do that later once you know what happens, right? So it's kind of like, it's very committal, obviously, but it throws your opponent off. Now D5 might be a better option. Yeah, that's the main move. But E5, you go C4, and it scores just fine for white. It's like you're just playing in English, Just get your knight out. You have the B, and again, it's very similar to the Orangutan because you get B4 in. Okay, now we have a reverse Najdorf now, right? Go knight F3 scores well. I kind of like, well, can you get G3 in? That won one game. But yeah, you could just go knight F3, and it's just a normal Sicilian reversed, right? You can get your bishop fianchetto to E3 and then B4 stuff. So there's that. But I think yeah, a better reply is D5. And let's see what now. Now yeah, okay, E3 is fine, I guess. And then you go E5. And then you strike with D4. And now it's like a reversed French. Strange, right? But you get a French with the inclusion of A3 for I'm not sure. But it's not, yeah, it's just a French. Oh, you stop bishop B4. So it'd be like if you're playing like with black where they have the bishop G5 pin. It's like you get A3 in for free. So there's no bishop B4 and you can move your B. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Scores
Queen P3 and stuff like that.
3 and 2 record. What's that?
Queen B3 and like F3 and all that
Yeah, you
stuff.
could still do the same thing. You just don't have to worry about. I mean, I don't know how you, but worst comes to worst, yeah, you have this line. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. And if you play it with black, let's go back. You have to go back to this. I don't know why you can't go to the first move, but okay. If you're playing with black, so let's say E4. I think maybe it's more after D4. No, I think you could do it now. I mean after E4 rather. A6. I think it's more so. Yeah, it's not terrible. 34 to 48. Let's say A6. It's just, well, it becomes like a modern defense basically. Of course, you know, they'll probably go D4, and you could do an immediate B5. I guess that's one of the main. I mean, you can go E6. You can go B5. But again, I would probably try and strike at those pawns. Like A4 scores well. I would try and strike at it soon because it's a weakness, right? It's a target. Let's just say they develop naturally. But you can see it's not terrible. It's very similar to modern defense though. And then they go C5 if they want. C5 or knight F6. Oh wait, is it called Polish? Saint George's defense. I think it said Polish somewhere. Saint George's. Okay, C3, knight F6. Yeah, A6, B5. But yeah, it's pretty much it's like modern type defense, you know. So, and interestingly, after D5, it's going really well. D6, I think okay, they have it looks terrible, right? But then they have a problem, premature. Because if they take with the queen, just pick up, you actually get your bishop right back. Everything collapses, right? And then you get your bishop pair back. You get rid of their bishop pair rather. And you just pick up a free pawn. So they end up taking with this. Anyway, that doesn't have to happen right out of the opening, of course. And knight H5 going to F4 looks really strong, or knight D5 F4. So yeah, and white's overextended arguably, and you can hit with F6 and all that stuff. Yeah, it's just interesting, you know. It's playable. It's weird, but you throw them off. Yeah, you can get. It's kind of like, but think of it like this. Let's say there are modern versions like E4, D6, G4, knight F6, the main line like knight C3, G6. F4 is aggressive. Let's just say they made like normal stuff. Bishop G7, Bishop E2, castles. Now, I think there's an A6 line, maybe knight BD7 first. And then let's say just something natural, like, okay, rook E1. Now you can play A6 here, if I recall. It's not played on this move. Let me see if it transposes. Yeah, there's a line like this. Black actually wins. But there's no, you know what? There's a Magnus game. No, he didn't castle. That's what it is. There's actually a Magnus game like this. It's been played by some strong players. I think it's like this. And then probably A6 is played at some point. Let's just say normal development. B5. Yeah, it wasn't this exact move order, but now you're threatening that spike attack again to get the bayonet, to get E4. Bishop B7 puts additional pressure. There's a Magnus game though where he actually castles queenside, like knight B6. I'll have to find the right move order. But yeah, you can see though it has its purpose. You play, but it's kind of like it's very committal though. You're committing early to it, but you try to transpose into something more normal. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, I better get running to that event.
Okay.
Now we have our regular openings down a bit, right?
Yes, I'm gonna check out this.
B4, A6, A3, stuff like that, right? And then there's hyper modern stuff. Just well, kind of like I showed you, it's not really irregular, but you have like B3 is I guess considered irregular, but B3 or G3, you know, it's just you can play bishop B2 and like a Nimzo Larsen knight F3 is very normal stuff. And again with G3 is I would consider a little more irregular, but it's just a safer version of G4, right? But you can transpose for sure, you know, it's like a ready opening. Like let's say, you know, knight F6, bishop G2, C5, let's say. Yeah, it's like a ready defense. And again, you're inviting this, and now you can play it like a reversed Banco Gambit and takes, and then you can go A3 and takes, and yeah, you have a lot of play, and you're going to try and strike here, things like that. So black will do that same position, but with a free move for white. So I have things. So you have some interesting stuff that you can transpose into it. But clearly A3 and A6 are committal. But as you can see, for white in particular, it's very normal. It just throws your opponent off, and it's like, wait, I'm playing this in English. So anyway, so hopefully that was helpful to get some different ideas and look at Bloodgood's games a bit.
Yeah, especially yeah,
thank
thank you so much.
Yes, thank
Pleasure.
you very much. And the blood game, I'm glad I learned about it because I'm gonna look at the Grob a little bit more closely now.
Yeah, me too, because I never know, like I always just take it immediately. I always take that pawn.
Right,
Yeah.
now you know, no, you can take it, but now you know how to maybe take it better. You can check out that.
Yeah.
Yeah.